Okay, and it's being recorded. Okay, we're going to move on then. My name is Lacey. Nice to virtually meet you all. I work at the Napa County Office of Education, and we are your Region 3 CTEIG Technical Assistance providers. I was a CTE teacher, taught graphic design, and I did a lot of coaching with teachers, and I worked in a PBL format. So I was, as a CTE teacher, was at a school that was wall-to-wall PBL and saw the very meaningful connections between project-based learning and career technical education. And since we're a small group, if you would like to add to the chat your, we already know your name, but maybe your site and your role. So we know where we're all at and what our roles are. If you're a teacher in the classroom, or if you're an administrator or a counselor or something else, coach, technical, or a TOSA. Program coordinator at MVROP, Mission Valley ROP. Nice, thank you. Oh, building trades teacher, awesome. At Will C. Wood. Glad you're on here. Glad you're all on here, but that's awesome. And workforce development coordinator for Mendocino County Office of Ed, supporting multiple districts. Cool. Thank you for being on here. So what do you want to know about the relationship between CTE and PBL? And again, you can go ahead and add this into the chat. Basically, why are you on here today? What are you hoping to gain? Being the connection between high quality CTE and project-based learning. Always looking for more information to share with instructors, real world examples to help one of our high-tech high sites. So I might ask more from you about that, but that's interesting, and always looking for more info. Okay, great. Hopefully as we go, I can tailor it to what you're looking for. So my goals are that you leave really with a deep understanding of how project-based learning relates to career technical education and the 11 elements of high quality CTE and where those overlaps are with PBL, and that you leave with way more tools and resources than you want or need, and see some examples of PBL and CTE. Yay, acronyms. So why project-based learning, and why do I care about that related to CTE? PBL is a way to learn where students are doing real world, meaningful, authentic work and learning deeply. And that includes content knowledge, technical skills, standards-based knowledge, academic rigor, but it's all around real world, authentic contexts. And that connection can be so deep to CTE. And we know that in school we are failing too many students. We have too many that are not graduating from high school or leaving far underprepared for after high school. And technical knowledge, skills, employability skills, and life skills are critical. And PBL is a way to address those things. If you want more information, there's a link here at the bottom from Buck Institute for Education of why PBL. And we're going to spend just a little bit of time making sure we all have a common understanding of PBL, especially since you all have a very deep understanding of CTE. We'll spend just a little bit of time making sure we're all in agreement about PBL. So before I tell you what I think, I would like to know what you think PBL means to you. What does project-based learning mean to you? And you can go ahead and add your thoughts into the chat about what you think it means, and also what the term means to you, either in your own practice or what you've seen or examples of high quality project-based learning, what it means to you. Nathaniel, welcome. You can just jump on in. We are adding to the chat what PBL means to us. And I'll wait before moving on, as people are clearly typing. PBL to me is a reality-based project that helps synthesize classroom instruction into measurable impact. Hands-on is more engaging for the students. Students building things gives them a deeper understanding. A teaching method that allows students to have more input and engagement with a topic or question. Students discover rather than just listen. That's a beautiful way to put it. Students discover rather than just listen. And Nathaniel, glad to be here. Welcome. Glad to have you here. All good responses. I like to use this image, and if you click on it, this takes you to a Google document with the image on it, as a really nice way to illustrate the difference between a traditional project and project-based learning. Traditionally, teachers might do a project at the end of a unit as some kind of a culminating event or the icing on the cake. And that's different from project-based learning, much different. In project-based learning, in PBL, the project really guides the learning. So that project is launched before the learning happens, and it guides the lectures and the activities and the quizzes, and all the learning pieces that happen along the way are guided by the purpose of the project. Reflection is also built into PBL and built in along the way. It's not just at the end. And then we have benchmarks so that we don't come to the culminating event and have our students present and we are just shocked by what they present because it wasn't what we thought it would be. It was a lower level than we thought, or they just went off the rails. We have those benchmarks as places to check in. I also really like this graphic because it shows that we're not losing some of the traditional teaching. It doesn't mean there's no lectures or no homework. Those are still part of PBL, or they can be. They just fall in to why they're learning something that relates to the project concept. So again, if you click on this document, it takes you to Google, or yeah, click on the image. It will take you to a Google Doc. I'm going to share my screen really quickly so I can share the second page with you. Share my screen. Display 2. So I hope you can see this. The second page of the document has a nice table that illustrates or gives examples of what it might look like in a traditional project scenario versus a project-based learning scenario. So this can be a nice self-reflection tool or self-review tool to look at what am I doing that is more project-y and what am I doing that's more project-based learning-y, and how might I move more to the right doing more project-based learning pieces. And here we go. Stop sharing. Hopefully you're able to see that. And again, if you have any questions, go ahead and add them to the chat. Okay, so to go in a little deeper about project-based learning, there's a few different big organizations out there. New Tech Network is one of them. Buck Institute for Education is one. High Quality PBL is a newer group, and I'm going to touch on a few of them just to share their definitions of PBL, and also I have some resources linked for you. So the 6 A's of PBL, 6 A's of project-based learning, are authenticity, academic rigor, applied learning, active exploration, adult connections, and assessment practices. These are used by the New Tech Network, so New Tech schools follow these 6 A's of PBL to help them create high-quality projects. And there's a nice link here to a project idea rubric. So a teacher can use this when they're thinking of an idea to do a project and kind of use it as a self-review tool to look at what pieces can be improved to make the project higher quality. So those are the 6 A's. high quality PBL, this was just, their framework was just released in March of 2018. They're a newer group and they have a lot of partners. Buck Institute for Education has partnered with them or backs them, and they've pulled in New Tech Network, High Tech High, Expeditionary Learning, Project Management Education Foundation, and a number of other partners to collectively come up with these 6 items that make high quality PBL high quality. And it's a way for anyone who thinks they're doing project-based learning to check themselves and check to see if it's high quality and how to make their project-based learning high quality. So their framework includes the intellectual challenge and accomplishment, authenticity, similar to one of the 6 A's, or exactly the same as one of the 6 A's, public product, collaboration, project management, and reflection. And the link here at the bottom takes you to their site where you can download their framework for free. And that's newer. And then we have Buck Institute for Education, and they in 2015 I think revamped what they said make good project-based learning and coined it gold standard projects. And gold standard project practices are a challenging problem or question, sustained inquiry, authenticity, student voice and choice, reflection, critique and revision, and public products. A link at the bottom, the essential project design element checklist, is similar to that 6 A's rubric, but a little more user-friendly. It's a little checklist that when you're looking at your own project or another project, you can check off whether or not these things are being done within a project. So it's a nice tool. And then I did want to share with you, because this is brand new, Buck Institute has rebranded as PBL Works, and they're still Buck Institute. They wanted to make that clear, but they've rebranded themselves and they have this brand new site. And this was just rolled out like this week as PBL Works. So if you click on that site, they have some great resources and a lot of their same Buck Institute resources, and they have the same gold standard elements. But they have a project planner that is a useful tool. They have these project cards that I'm pretty sure they got the idea from High Tech High in San Diego. But you can search different grade levels, different content areas or subjects for project ideas. And I wanted to share this because it's brand new. So they've rebranded as Buck Institute for Education PBL Works. So that's kind of cool. New in PBL world. Nice to know. And Buck also wants to make clear that they have the essential project design elements, the ones we just read, but they also want to make clear that there's a role of a teacher in this process. It's not just a guide on the side. The teacher is still relevant and meaningful and purposeful, and they categorized these project-based teaching practices, align to standards, build the culture, manage activities, scaffold student learning, assess student learning, engage and coach, and design and plan. And those are really important pieces that teachers do in a high quality PBL environment. So another nice little graphic from Buck. Okay, before we go on, I'd like you, after all of that, me talking a lot at you and sharing PBL stuff, to pause and reflect and take a moment to think about those things I just shared. Digest it, and what are your thoughts and your reactions? And you can add these to the chat, and I'll type in a little note as well. So let me find my notes, add a new note, and we're going to say think about everything you just saw and heard. What are your thoughts, your reactions? Make that a bit bigger. Like the available resources shown, worth investigating. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have enough time within the webinar to read through all of the great resources, but and all the extra time you have, you can go back and look at anything that resonates with you. The 6 A's And the linked chart are great. The slide about projects versus PBL was very helpful. Yes, and you have access to the slide deck, but if you here, let me do it this way. Copy. The slides are Google Slides, and that might not have been hyperlinked. Yes, all at the end to make sure you get it. Or look, I'll just paste this into our chat. There you go. That is directly to the Google Slides of this. There we go. Okay, and I also wanted to highlight that the models we saw, they're all different, but they're mostly similar in spirit, or the models are similar in spirit, right? They have the same overarching ideas behind them, but they differ in terms of their emphasis and their specific language. But they're all similar in the spirit of what they're trying to do. And Peggy's still typing. Yes, I tend to overshare on resources. So I'm sorry. You don't have to use everything. Just choose the things that really resonate with you. So we have a teacher and people who are working with teachers. So I would like to know, and I'm pulling up the poll for you, what level of PBL, based on everything we saw, right, of what makes high quality PBL high quality, what level do you think you're doing or are seeing with the teachers you work with? And there's a little poll that came up. And this is anonymous, so don't be afraid to be honest. Okay, so a few people not doing PBL. And okay, quality, not so great. And that's totally fine and totally normal. We're all on a journey, right? Growth mindset. We're all trying to grow and improve. But that's good for me to know. So let's look at high quality CTE and how this might relate. And I'm going to try something new here. I'm going to try to give you drawing access to this document. So enable participants to draw. Okay, what I think should happen is you should be able to see this little toolbar on the side of your screen, and you should be able to get a highlighter. If you hold down on the marker symbol, there should be like a highlighter image. And what I would like for you to do is highlight the elements and sub-elements that you think relate to project-based learning. So I'm hoping you can draw on this. Oh, good, somebody can. Yay, okay. Okay, I know it worked, so I'll show you one more time. And it looks like somebody did a little marker spot. That's good. So that means you have a toolbar, and if you click marker, you'll get a black marker. You need to hold it down or click the little drop down arrow on that marker, and you'll get a marker, a highlighter, a pen, and a pencil as potential tools. So choose the highlighter. Look at you guys go and highlight the elements and the sub-elements that you think relate to project-based learning. And I won't talk about what all of these mean since all of your familiarity was really high about CTE. I'm assuming then you all know what the 11 elements are and what makes high quality CTE high quality. So I'll wait like 30 more seconds and think about all of the elements and how they might relate to project-based learning. Okay, I see that Clinton's typing, so I'll wait until you're done and give anyone else more time to highlight anything else they want. Or if your tool's not working and you just have a marker, you can go ahead and just like mark. Mine's pretty off from where my cursor is, so you can do your best to make it work. Oh, thank you, Clinton. I ran workforce development programs for 15 years, and PBL works great with industry. Thank you for sharing that. Very true. I'm going to undo all these ugly marks I just made. Okay, so I'm going to share with you and take away drawing. Oh no, it went away. Oh good, okay, there it is. Okay, I'm going to share with you one that I highlighted with all of the pieces I thought aligned with PBL. So there's a lot of overlap, but some I'll talk about then 7, 8, 9, and more of 11 and how it relates, since you guys saw a lot of the same things with 1 through 6, except for 3. I think, yeah, you didn't highlight 3. So to me, when we're doing high quality projects, students take on roles of careers. Like if they are doing a forensic project in a science class, they're taking on the role of a forensic scientist. And that doesn't mean it has to be in a CTE class. So, or within a CTE class, even if I'm teaching digital media arts, I might do an information graphics project and my students might take on the role not only of a designer, but of a researcher or a scientist, depending on what they're creating information graphics of. So high quality PBL really allows for general career exploration by taking on these different roles. It doesn't necessarily allow for the 4-year career plan, but it does allow for a lot of exploration within different jobs that a project might entail. So, okay, effective organizational design, course access, extended time, and convenient times and locations. PBL allows for that flexibility. It's not the traditional, I'm the teacher lecturing at you. You have to be here in my class to understand it. Sometimes there's a lot of work that's done outside of the class for the project, or there can be things that can be done online. Within a PBL environment, you can set up like hybrid online class and in-person classes. PBL allows for that flexibility because it's not as rigid. So it can allow for convenient times and locations for learning, or for work-based learning experiences or pieces of the project. System response to economic demands, partnerships with stakeholders. I think this speaks to what Clinton's saying. Industry advisory can be your audience for presentations. Yes. Then they build connections with students and accidentally end up hiring at graduation. Then you do a signing day concept at graduation to promote CTE offerings. That's a wonderful idea. And I used my advisory board all the time within my projects to either be an audience for a presentation panel. Some of my industry members became my project clients. So my students would design things for the client who was an industry person for real work, like it was real and they needed help. So partnerships with those stakeholders are really important within PBL. And this can also be your administrators on site. If you're inviting them to the project presentations, those final exhibitions, you can invite your local government and your parents. It's a really good way to involve your stakeholders. And you don't get that in a traditional teaching environment. You don't invite those stakeholders to tests, but you can for these project presentations or even for feedback sessions throughout the project. So PBL lends itself really well to that. Skilled faculty and professional development. Mostly this is under professional development activities. There's a lot of PBL PD out there, from Buck Institute, from New Tech Network, from organizations I probably don't know of, from High Tech High in San Diego. There's a lot of professional development around PBL, either things you can go to or online things you can do on your own. So a lot of professional growth can happen for administrators and teachers and counselors all around project-based learning. And then promotion, outreach, and communication. And when students are doing high quality projects and they're doing work out in the real world, there is no better way to promote your program by having them work with community members as clients, presenting out in the community, doing projects that are real, partnering with younger students to do projects like having a buddy and creating a book for them. All of those things builds awareness about your program because you're doing real world work out in the community, and that promotes your program. So CTE is a fantastic way, and like Clinton's example, that's a way of promoting the program out in the community with your advisory. Student leadership opportunities happen through project-based learning. I'm going to talk more about the alignment between leadership and PBL. The community classroom and internships can happen through PBL. Work-based learning activities, having industry partners come in to mentor throughout a project, give feedback on revisions and iterations, be project panelists, come in as guest speakers to help with some piece of the project. I did my digital marketing class, worked with an English class, and we created materials for a local coffee company because Starbucks was moving in. So we did marketing plans for them. And through part of it, they came in and did a coffee roasting demonstration. That was a work-based learning activity. They brought in all their equipment and taught my kids about roasting coffee and what set them apart from Starbucks. So pretty amazing. Classroom and teacher websites. PBL is a great way to do that. If you're doing wonderful projects that are in the community, it's great to have a website to showcase that and highlight all the work that's happening. Media promotion of events, same thing, inviting the media to promote the projects you're doing and the real world work. And community involvement and participation. I feel like I've reiterated that multiple times. So if there's any questions on this, go ahead and ask them now, and I'll wait a few seconds and then we will move on. But I'm hoping with this visual you can see very clearly the strong connections between project-based learning and CTE. And again, just because, I don't know if I've said this before, I don't know why I said it again. Just because you're doing project-based learning does not mean you're meeting all of these things, but you can meet them through project-based learning. So I want that to be clear. And then Clinton, CTSO work plan for students aligned with their PBL project seems low-hanging. Is there a reason not to do this? That's a good question to the group. Doing the student leadership organization work plan for students. Oh, I see why it's not highlighted here. I got you. No, I don't think there's a reason not to do this. I think my thinking behind not highlighting it was that you can do PBL without being in a CTSO, and how if you're doing PBL and not in a CTSO, it still connects to all of these things. My thinking was not that it doesn't connect. I like your point. And I think you're absolutely right. And I should update it to highlight it like you highlighted it here. Yeah, doing the work plan in it within a CTSO aligns with PBL. Yeah, it's just looking at it from a reverse way. You're absolutely right. And there's no reason not to do it. Does that make sense? You're typing, so I'll wait for your response until we move on. And you're still typing. Everyone else can just patiently wait or check out the slides that some of you are on. No, no specific reason not to, not at all. I think my thinking was highlighting the pieces that still related to PBL, even if you weren't doing a CTSO. And feel free to keep typing. Yeah. I think you're right. Okay, I'm going to undo the draw. Okay, this document, and I'm going to share my screen for this one. If you click on the table, it will take you to a document with a larger table than this. And I'm going to share my screen, but make it bigger. Okay, this table shows a nice illustration or details out how the PBL pieces align with the element, the CTE element. So it explains in detail examples of how PBL aligns with leadership at all levels or high quality curriculum and instruction. I won't read through all of these. This is a good tool and resource for you, especially if you need to demonstrate to somebody else the connection, and having highlighted bullet points isn't enough. This is more explicit. So if we look at the student support and student leadership development, which we were just talking about, and this is looking at just PBL, not a CTSO. It teaches and embeds leadership activities, aligns with multiple alternative leadership strategies, meets the needs of all students, including special education, English learners, non-traditional students, and the general student population, and more. So I won't read all of these, but nice kind of bullet pointed out reasons of how it aligns, or explanations rather of how it aligns. Stop sharing, there we go. And then this next one, if you click on it, it is the reverse. So the table shows the reverse of taking essential project design elements and which CTE elements align with those. So it's looking at what we just saw in reverse. And I'll share my screen for this one. So we can see here, if we look at it from the PBL side, a challenging problem or question, and see that it aligns with multiple CTE 11 elements: high quality curriculum instruction, student support and leadership, all aspects of industry. So shows the connection in reverse. Another nice tool to use, or resource for you. Okay, and then as we were talking about leadership, so this is focusing on if you're doing alternative leadership strategies and not doing a CTSO, project-based learning can address a lot of those alternative leadership strategies. And if you click on any of these columns, it will link you to a document that has more alternative leadership strategies, and the things in green can be met through doing project-based learning. And the ones that are met are highlighted here on this slide. So it doesn't mean you'll do everything through project-based learning, although I think you can develop and implement SMART goals through PBL. So like, I'm going to change that right now. And I see you guys are on this, so I won't share my screen. And this is, again, if you're not doing a CTSO, the expectation is that you're meeting every single one of these through other methods, and project-based learning, doing it high quality, can address these things, and you can document it through the projects and the work your students do. Maintaining a personal portfolio, doing self-assessments. PBL lends itself really well to having students assess themselves throughout the project process and at the end, in conjunction with the teacher. Managing time and tasks, meeting deadlines, that very clearly connects to doing projects. Developing a real-world problem or solution. Again, I won't read through all of these, but it shows nicely how connected PBL is with leadership and all of the other pieces we're trying to get at through CTE. So that's there for you. If you have any questions about this, go ahead and ask. And this is, again, if you're embedding leadership through alternative strategies and not doing a CTSO. In my area, a lot of our teachers have not done CTSOs in the past. We're trying to help more of our teachers do CTSOs. It's just, it hasn't stuck here with our teachers. And you're welcome. So okay, I'll move on. So after all of that, I have another poll for you. Oh no, I don't. I guess we'll do this in the chat. Okay, how strong of a link do you think there is between, after seeing everything we said, how strong of a link do you think there is between project-based learning and CTE, and high quality PBL and high quality CTE? And you can go ahead and add it into the chat in whatever terms you want to use. Very strong link, not so strong, weak link, you are the weakest link, whatever verbiage you would like to use. No link, they're separate. I hope that's not it. That's beautiful, Clinton. PBL single-handedly can turn a CTE pathway into a vibrant, self-sustaining pathway. Tough to pull off all the pieces needed at a site to start the process. Yes. And I actually just today in my inbox, I subscribe, to a number of different PBL and CTE things, but one of them said, I haven't read it in its entirety, but it said why PBL is so hard to start. And I was reading the first portion of it, and it usually will snowball. As you keep going, you do more and you get better and you start building out more of these pieces, but it can be hard to start the process, especially in a traditional teaching environment, a traditional school district, school site. But it, very well said, can turn a CTE pathway into a vibrant, self-sustaining pathway. Strong link, but I think I need to work on one sector teacher at a time to get this going. Yeah, that similarly relates. It's hard to create change. If you're by yourself trying to work with individual teachers, I recommend, there's two ways to look at it. You can start with your early adopters, people who are eager to do this and they're a natural place to start. You can also start with your most resistant teachers and bring them with you to observe other school sites, to go to trainings. And when you get your most resistant teachers on board first, it has an effect on everybody and they become an advocate. But it takes a little more work than the early adopters, and you should bring them with you to do a lot of the different observations and trainings and things, but it can be powerful. Influencing others to do the same. Selling it to the administrator's swings on helping them realize that the most difficult students respond the most to it. Yes. Yes, often PBL keeps kids in school who wouldn't be there, or keeps kids from failing who otherwise would be checked out or not successful in a traditional environment. Much like our CTE pathways, there's such a strong connection between the two. Okay, so for the last little bit of our webinar, we'll talk about some examples of projects in CTE, high quality projects in CTE environments. So before I share a few and I share more resources for you, let's take just a minute, think to yourself what an example of a high quality project might be that aligns with the 11 elements of high quality CTE. So a project maybe in a CTE class that could be high quality, meeting those elements for high quality PBL, but done in a CTE class. And you may not know, and that's okay. If you can't think of any or you haven't seen any, that's okay. But if you've seen an example of a project or one comes to mind for you, go ahead and share it. And then I'll share some things out for our last little bit. Live video work that benefits an organization. Our video teacher just returned from overseas to film for the Smile Project. Wow, that's amazing. Students are working on this footage that will go up onto their website. It's a great start in getting students involved with live work. Yeah, that's real. That's very real. It's a great example. One of our rural districts on a reservation is having an automotive pathway perform a community auto service day. That's awesome. My next goal is to get to help them to align with the fire department to teach safe child seat installation and other vehicular related community issues. Those are excellent examples. Those are very real and relevant. That's really cool. Thank you for sharing those. I feel like those are better than what I'm going to share. So the video contest, this is an example, and you can click on the document. And why I'm sharing this is because it shows nicely the things we just talked about, how an example project, how it meets the CTE outcome measures, and how it aligns with each of those project design elements. So it's an example of a video project where students create STEM education videos. It was part of a real contest, and they worked in CEO business type teams. They used their technology to create these promotional videos and enter a contest. That they did research, they interviewed audiences, or the audience was a judging panel for the contest, and it just nicely shows the breakdown of how it aligns to the different project elements and the CTE outcomes. So an example of a video project. And it was done through it was in an academy model, so multiple subjects worked on this project together. These links at the bottom take you to some very detailed project planning forms for a manufacturing project and a culinary project. These are examples of completed project outlines, project documents, that have a lot of detail in them and how they relate to the different pieces of gold standard PBL. And they have the project calendars at the bottom and a few other pieces. So a couple of more example projects for you. And I did get these, and I want to thank a presenter who presented at a CTE conference that I got these examples from. So I'm, beg, borrow, steal in education, right? So I think it was Eileen Bag-Rizzo from Southern California who I got these from. Okay, I'm going to move on. Those are there for you if you want to reference them. And all right, you're going to go on a little scavenger hunt to find a project. And I'd like you to go to this link. You can click on it. It will take you to a page of project cards. So these project cards, maybe I'll show you. I'll wait for you to get on the link and then I'll show you the page. When you go to it, there's images. And when you click on one of those images, it gives you a little more information about the project. And they're from all different grade levels, all different subject areas. But for your scavenger hunt, I would like you to find an example of a project that you think could be done in a CTE class. So it might not have been, it might be in an English class or social studies, but there are so many in here that connect with CTE industry sectors and that could be done in a CTE class. So your goal is to find one of these projects that could be done in a CTE class and then share it with us. And you can post a link to the project card along with a very short explanation of what the project is. So quickly, I'll share my screen to show you what I mean. And then I'll go back to this. Okay, so these are the project cards. And if I see an image that intrigues me, like this one intrigues me because probably I was a design teacher and I think it looks beautiful and my computer's loading. I clicked the image, it brings up some information and I scroll down and I see like a little overview with a student reflection of the project. So if I'm looking at this and I think, oh yeah, this could be done in a CTE class, maybe in printing and graphics, I could then share it and copy the URL and post it in our share feed. And I think I'll do that. And this was done in a an art class, and I feel like it could be done. We have a printing and graphics class that could very well do this. So I'll hide this, and I will go on this scavenger hunt with you. So here we go. I'm going to share that, and could be done in printing and graphics. And then a little short overview of the projects. Used Adobe Photoshop. Relief prints that symbolically represented our own patterns of existence and beyond. That's so cool. And we don't get a ton of information from these. We don't necessarily get the project planning document or the project calendar. These are more meant to inspire people to maybe take the idea and make it their own. So I'm not entirely sure who the public audience was for this, but it still seems like a really cool project. Ooh, homesteading is a very Mendo culture. Anything rebuilding is most, yeah, after our fires. Oh, urban homesteading project. Oh, that's really cool. Thank you. Ancient sailing and seafarers. Yeah, that one's so cool. The upcycle project construction or design class. Nice. Oh, look at you guys on your scavenger hunt, finding so many examples. I'm going to do another one I really like, but I'm not sure where it is. Oh, Portraits of Resilience. I love this one. And I feel like could be done in AME pathway, an arts, media, and entertainment. Oh, and this one I love too, and it could be done in like an engineering or construction. Apocalypto. Engineering or construction. And somebody said they wanted some ideas for something. I'm trying to go back. I'm scrolling back up. And okay, real world examples to help one of your sites. So I'm not sure what examples you were looking for, but maybe you can find some here. I like the B project, but the link is bad. I think high school students could work with younger students. Oh, that's a great idea. I love it when I see it, the B project. And you're right, the link is bad. I'm gonna I'll let them know that. I'm gonna make a note. Okay, and we are coming up on 5 minutes, so we're gonna move on. B project. Link broken. Okay. Hopefully that gave you a lot of inspiring ideas, and their project cards are a wonderful resource to help teachers. Here are more example projects. These are just links to like a plethora of project libraries. We have our own small project library on our Napa CCR site. Buck Institute has a project search. I think this still works. And their new, oh yeah, it takes you to their new PBL Works site, which you have to create an account for, but it's free. So that you might have to do more. I need to update my links. New Tech Network has their own example projects. Rigorous PBL by Design is a newer book, and there's some example projects that are free within the book, but they provide them digitally as well, which is nice. PBLU has a few projects. CTE Online, I'm sure you're all familiar with since you know so much about CTE, and there's so many projects on there. And then Models of Excellence projects. are great examples as well. And then I'm sharing, and I won't go over these, but there's a ton of project planning documents that you can use. I feel like there's no one right way. The point is to just have some way to think about those pieces of high quality PBL when you go to plan a project. So any document that really works for you or your teachers, and these are just some that you could use or modify. I'm glad you've got some great info to share, and I use CTE Online a lot as well. And then this is just a recap of the resources. So on your slides, if you don't want to remember to click through what was where on a slide, the resources slide has everything linked for you. And then that's it. So in our last 2 minutes, I would love to take a little time to reflect and think about, hopefully you did get a lot of resources, how you will utilize what you've learned from today in your role. And if you could add it to the chat, and then we will depart, but I'll stay on if anyone has any questions. So that will be, we'll reflect, and then we'll wrap up. I'm glad you got some good information and hopefully got some good resources. I would love to know your next steps, how you think you'll utilize the information or resources moving forward. And thank you, if you do have to leave, thank you for being on here. Happy CTE month. I meant to say that starting out. Happy CTE month. Please promote your pathways, do real projects that are in your community to help get the word out about the amazing work you do. A deeper exploration of the resources that you presented to us. Next step is to find the best system for my classroom and apply to PBL student projects. I will try to target a few teachers with this information. Those are great next steps. So that's it. If you're still typing, totally fine. Again, thank you for your time, and I'll stay on if anyone has any questions. You can type them in the chat, and I'm happy to provide you with more resources if you're looking for something specific or if you have any questions in general. So thank you, and happy CTE month, and I'll wait for the typing to stop and for people to leave, and then I'll close it down. Oh, wow. That's awesome, Clinton. I'm glad you're seen as a resource for them. Seems like you're an amazing resource for them. So I'm glad hopefully some of this helped. And Glenn, you're welcome. Thank you again. Clinton, if you ever need more support or resources, that's what I'm here for. It's my job. So I'm happy to help you as well and your districts. I'm helping San Francisco and Santa Clara pretty in-depthly right now. So yes, please contact me. I've been doing a lot of individualized work with both Santa Clara and San Francisco Unified around their PBL efforts, and I'm happy to help you. Within our technical assistance grant, the services are free through June through this grant, so happy to help. And you can email me and we can go from there, or you can call me. I didn't put my office number on here, but my office line is 707-253-6829. And you can call me. But I'm not always in the office, so email sometimes is better. All right, if that's it. Oh yeah, we have a great, we're actually offering a new tech high tour and like training. We're offering it through our technical assistance. So before you leave, it's on Basecamp. I'm not sure if you're on Basecamp. I'm assuming you are since you were here today and you're typing, so you can let me know. But we are doing a tour of New Tech High with a CTE focus on March 7th, and it's free. And I'll give you the registration link. That you can register. It's March 7th for a study tour of New Tech High, which is wall-to-wall PBL. They are one of the oldest models of wall-to-wall PBL, and they do excellent projects. And our tour will have a CTE focus. We have 2 of our CTE pathways at New Tech High in Napa. But it's also just a great place to see some interdisciplinary teaching and really quality project-based learning. Study tour of New Tech High with CTE focus. Can we access this recording later? Glenn, that's a good question. Yeah, my plan is the recording takes some time to load onto my computer, but I'll follow up with everyone with links to all of the resources and the recording. It will be next week because the recording takes some time to process so that I can share it. But yes, you will be able to access it. I'll share it out. I'll do a follow-up with resources, a follow-up survey, and the recording. Yeah, there's a lot that goes out on Basecamp. I understand that. Okay, well, that link takes you to the registration form for the New Tech Tour. So you can use that if you're available March 7th. I believe it's March 7th. Yep. Glad it was great. Happy to help with any more individualized support that you may want, Glenn, or just brainstorming. Okay, are we good? I think so. I'm gonna close it out then. I don't see you typing. You're good. Okay. All right. Bye. Have a good night.